first farm her and I bought was 30 acres. That was about probably about 1976. No, it was older than that. It was probably about 73. We bought 30 acres. $200 an acre. And
what's land go for now?
well, usually right around in this part of the country, some of the better land will probably bring around 7,000 to 8,000, and pretty common 5 to 6. So you can see that it don't take very many acres of land to get up to $1 million.
Right.
So you got $1 million land, you got $1 million combines, and $500,000 tractors, and that's been very conservative.
What happens to those weeds when they go through there?
They are chewed up. Hear that? Just like the straw is out there.
Okay.
That there was Timothy. It came probably in wheat seed.
Oh, okay.
That's probably where it came from.
Where did you and Catherine first live?
The first place we lived, we come down here, my father-in-law had rented a house right close to where he lived. And after we decided to come down here, my father-in-law asked the owner if he'd be interested in selling the house and 3 acres. And he didn't have no use for the house. And that's what we done. Father-in-law bought it. And I think the house and 3 acres was $1,100. And we lived there for 7 years. The house was not modern. We had a little house out in the back. No running water. And the little house out back was really cold on a 0 morning, I can tell you that. But we was young. Most people back then, in 61, did have, modernization in their homes, but we lived there 7 years. Then we rented for 7 years. And in the meantime, we bought that 30 acres, and we bought another 40 acres. And my father-in-law and I bought 40 acres together. Catherine and I, we bought 30 acres that was ours. And we went a few miles from home and built a new home in 74. Started building in 73. And we moved in February of 74. And it was, at the time, it was not in the coal mining field, but it wasn't very long that it was. And we had bought 2 more farms for a total of 200 and some acres from private individuals in the neighborhood. And we lived there about 7 years in the new home. And the coal company bought us out. And we moved closer to Salisbury, where we traded our our farm out of the coal field for one that was away from they wanted ours to mine. And we've been there, the last home we built, we've been there 35 years. And probably we hope to be there till we're gone. That's what tells me when something's wrong.
So when do you use that?
We use the grain cart. That one there holds about 500 bushel. While he's gone to town, either to the bins up at our place or to town. That's what I put grain into while they're gone. And then when we get back, they auger that out of it before this week. They will auger this back into the grain truck.
Tell me about antique tractors.
Well, in 74, I got to restoring old John Deere tractors. Some as back far as 34, some in the 50s and 60s. And because the late 70s and early 80s was quite a drop down for the farming thing. A lot of people went broke, sold their machinery, sold their farms, and I just kind of got into it as a hobby, kind of. But then I got one done. Well, then I wanted another. Or either that or I wanted a series of tractors back in the two-cylinder tractor days, back in the 60s. And I wound up doing about 30. From the ground up, I'd buy them, tear them apart, restore them, repaint them, and then I'd take them to shows, and we would show them out of state, all the bordering states. We would take them and show them. And we had another couple that we showed with for about 18 years. He passed away with cancer very quickly. And that's been, I think he's been gone 11, 12 years. And I had enough of them that it got to be such a job to take care of them. Then in 09, we contacted an auctioneer out in Illinois, and he came over to our home, and we lined them all up, and we sold them. We had about 13 states represented in our sale, and we had about a little over 300 people there. And they went, I had two of them that went to Australia, bought them on the internet, shipped them to Australia in containers. I had two went to the East Coast, the rest of them were scattered from Michigan to southern Iowa, Minnesota, Oklahoma. It was quite an experience.
Which one was your favorite to restore?
Well, I like the little tractors, but I also like the big tractors too. But probably the nicest one that I really thought was kind of rare was this 4010 Standard. It was a gas model, 61 model, and John Deere only made 98 of them. It was a pretty rare tractor. And 61, there's the year we got married. 61 was the year I got out of service. It is now up in southeast Illinois, south of Chicago. And I know where several of the tractors are at that I restored and sold. And it's a fun hobby. I met people from all over the world, England and everywhere else, at some of the shows. And the nicest people. I'd recommend it very highly. But I had a lot of fun. Get close enough.
Now, how much does this wagon hold?
About 500 bushel. That tractor there we purchased new, I think in 2014. Slow down in here to try to get it picked up. That reel there with the fingers, that's what it does. It'll pick up that downwind and put it into the platform. See that there is down the platform.
Do the terraces help a lot?
They do. They control the water runoff. You can see them humps around there. And that's the way we'll have to combine it. We'll have to combine it around the terraces.
Was this ground terraced already?
It sure was when we bought the farm.
Well,
98, 90 or something. We moved in 85.
well, no, it was before that because Mark and I moved here in 1997. How long did you own it before Mark and I moved here?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, because you know what? We had our horses about 1994, 3 or 4, I think. Because Devin, well, no, before that, because Devin was born in 1992. And we had our horses up here riding for a while before that.
Well, we must have bought it in about 88, 89.
Yeah.
But what happens, see, they double spread that with fertilizer. That's why it went down.
Okay.
Because of the terraces.
What was your first job on the farm?
When I was about 8 years old, Dad had a tractor with a 2-row cultivator. It was a WD Alice. And he had a team of mules. And he had 1-row cultivator. he put me in point rows, which is a short rows, cultivating with those mules. Well, my dad had raised the mules. He broke the mules. They knew from his voice what was right and what was wrong. So he put me on this cultivator. I sat there and they wouldn't go for me. They just waller all around and eat the corn and carry on. So he'd come down there and he'd holler at them, or they'd go right straight across the field, you know, just pretty as you ever see. As soon as I'd get back on the cultivator, here we go. They didn't pay one bit of attention to me. And I decided right then that I didn't think I wanted to farm with horses.
What was the first job that George had you do when you got to the farm as an adult?
We came down here in September, so we had to harvest, started harvest. It was about the third week of September. We started harvesting about the 1st of October. So I was running a combine. But I had run a combine for my dad after I became a teenager. But it'd been a long time, because I'd been gone 3 years in the service. You pick it up pretty quick again if you've done it. But most people could do it, but it's quite an experience to turn somebody loose with it. Even today, with the machine we've got, it's not near as big as most of them. But it's big enough to be a little bit intimidating. Well, we cut it up here. The reel brings it back to the sickle, cuts it off. It goes up, there's a big chain down in there, and it goes up into a cylinder underneath the seat here. And it separates the trash and the grain, takes the grain off of the stem, and it separates it. Grain goes down in the belly of the combine, and there's some augers down there. Trash goes one place, wheat goes another place. It comes right up here in this hopper right here behind us. Reel, it'll raise up and down for different heights of crop that you're cutting, and then it'll slide back and forth, forward and backwards also. It's just one of the adjustments that you have. This here's kind of a mess here. It's really down. We'll have a John Deere show in Boonville, Missouri the weekend after Labor Day. It's always a big show. This year they are featuring John Deere. Everyone's welcome, no matter restored or unrestored. Restored means they're all painted up. Unrestored means maybe they're original, or they just like they brought it out of the field. There's usually a big tractor pull that goes along with it. We will be down there with 2 or 3 tractors, I believe, if something don't happen. It's one of the bigger shows in the state of Missouri. My oldest boy is Kirk. Instead of tractor shows, he pulls tractors. He used to have a 4430 that he pulled. It ran pretty good. And he now has a 5020 that he pulls. And he will will be pulling in Boonville if they had the show. They're supposed to. Friday night. Missouri Farm Pullers. They put on a good show. Kirk, he's very mechanical. He's very good with creating things. He has got quite a bit of stuff on his 5020 that he fixed creation-wise, and like a tilt hood and stuff like that on his 5020. It's quite a machine. Well, I've always been around race cars, drag cars, ever since I was 13 years old. I used to have a couple circle track cars that I used to run. I had a driver for one of them. I was about 18 when that was taking place. I raced around the Kansas City area in Excelsior Springs and I never did want it. It just, I always liked speed and I always liked fast cars.
What kind of cars?
Ford cars. Them old flathead Fords. I used to rebuild them and put 2 or 3 carburetors on them.
Did you have anybody that worked on them with you?
My uncle, I had an uncle that was really good with speed equipment. He helped me a lot when I was a kid growing up. He passed away several years ago. And all my mechanical skills I kind of got when I was young. I decided when I went in the military, that's the field they put me in. I didn't work on stuff, but I was a recovery vehicle driver, kind of like a record driver. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Where were you at?
I was at Fort Lewis for about 1.5 years, Washington, and then I was at Anchorage, Alaska for the other 1.5 years.
Was there anything good in Alaska?
Yeah, it's pretty country. Very, very pretty country up there. I didn't like the winter times. It's dark all the time.
More of that flat stuff, isn't it?
Oh boy, it's a mess in here. I'll be glad to get out of here. Ain't making no time. Spending too much time turning and slowing down, carrying on. But we'll get her if the rain don't get us first.
What's your favorite crop to harvest?
Probably corn. I love shelled corn. Used to like plow, but we don't plow no more.
How come you don't plow?
We go conservation till. Main thing when you're operating a machine, number one priority is